Hello everybody, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new debut album by this band called Profiler with their new record, A Digital Nowhere. So this is a band that I have been following for a few years now when they've released a few singles, and I've mainly heard of them because they're on the Sharp Tone record label, but their debut has finally arrived, and I've actually saved my ears from listening to any of this record as singles so I could get the full experience to see how different it sounds, and they definitely have built up their sound here. Now there is good components to that as well as some weaker ones, so I'll just go from the weaker ones first and go to the stronger ones. I feel with Profiler they definitely are going somewhere, but at the same time I just think with this sound of some of the tracks it just kind of feels a little like it's missing something. There's some components that I do enjoy with some tracks, but then other tracks it just feels like they're lacking in stuff. Like the Living Receiver is one that I thought I'd like more than I actually do, but I feel this one just feels a bit barren. There's definitely some elements of creativity and spontaneousness when it comes to their blend of new metal and other genres like hardcore, to even some metalcore elements that you can see in some of the tracks. But yeah, I feel like after the first few tracks it kind of fizzles from a lot of this more experimentation to just kind of a normal sound of theirs, and that's fine. I think it still works, but it just leads to some of the weaker tracks, and I think honestly the last three tracks I probably would say are the weakest tracks on the record, especially Sequence. I think for an album closer it just doesn't really seal the deal. It just kind of feels a bit more like a weaker track that just doesn't need to be there. It's not a bloated album, but it just, to me, it feels like some ideas just didn't really need to happen in terms of what they do. I feel the strongest stuff on this record was actually the singles, so I'm kind of glad I didn't listen to them because I feel I probably would have been a little bit cheaped out with the whole concept of this album, but at the same time the album is not bad at all. I just feel there's just easily some songs you can identify as the stronger tracks. All In Forever just already kicks it into probably the best opener it could be. I like the idea of it has a bit more of a bouncy new metal classic feel to it, with a lot more aggression, which I quite like the screams on this one. To probably maybe the best track, Animo, which I know a lot of people have I've seen a lot of people talk about this one actually, and it's even been played a few times on radio stations like Kerrang or BBC Radio 1 when it comes to the metal selection they normally play, and it's quite cool to see that. I think Profiler going from just a band that released a few singles to having this hype for this debut record is quite nice to see, and Animo is definitely a song that is a good way to represent this record. And the other single, Operator, that's probably the weakest of the three singles, but it's still good. I do enjoy this one. Some of the songs I do enjoy that aren't actually the singles though. Zero is a highlight. I love this one. I just love the energy. I just think this one stood out to me, especially when around this point of the album it just started kind of meshing together a little bit and just kind of feeling like the same thing. But then some of the other tracks like Delay as well is pretty good. I feel like you just have them building a lot of variety, and then afterwards they're just pursuing into trying to find a groove that fits for them, and there's definitely elements they could take from this to learn from and put together for future releases. But as of where we are now with Profiler, it's not a bad record at all. I think it's a 3 out of 5 for me. It's definitely got some good components, but I just feel like there's not really much I really want to like dive into as often. Like there's no bad track, but there's not much that really stood out on this record. But at the same time, it's still worth a listen, I'd say. And it's a decent debut record, and that's pretty much all I have to say. So I hope you all enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next video.